I know that I'm late to the game, but I'm here to give my thoughts on the firing and termination of CM Punk from AEW. Now, Tony Khan finally grew a set of marbles and finally took charge of, the backstage drama that is AEW. Now, CM Punk, at the end of the day, isn't the entire problem, but he definitely has been a problem. That's for sure. And, his recent backstage altercation with Jack Perry, obviously Jack Perry is at fault too. And the previous other altercations that have occurred, Young Bucks, the Elite, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, they're part of the problem too. But Tony Khan had to weed out the poison ivy. One of them being CM Punk. And ever since he was fired, and I do believe that CM Punk wanted out of his contract. I mean, the guy said, I want to quit. I don't want to be here anymore. And I feel like he knew what he was doing when he, got in the face of Jack Perry, sucker punched him, choked him out. In that moment, he probably, he knew that he wanted to leave. And that was the situation that was going to lead him into getting fired. The final straw that broke the camel's back. So Punk knew what he was doing. But at the same time, I'm questioning the mindset behind CM Punk and what he did. Looking back on it, could he have handled the situation in a different way? Of course. CM Punk could have done a lot of shit differently. But he chose to do what he did. He chose his outcome. And I don't know what's next for CM Punk. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to his AEW contract, he did not wrestle all the days of his contract. There's no way. In fact, less than 50% of the time, he was spending out on injury, suspension, and, he spent a lot of less time on TV, right? Now, the initial first year of Punk's run in AEW, he was there. Well, I wouldn't say all the way there, because in that first year, I do believe he had an injury, and he was out for 2 months, from June all the way up to August. And then after All Out of 2022, got suspended, and it was out on injury, came back to his own show, Collision, and he was only there for 2 months. It's very funny that last year at All Out 2022, the man gets suspended, having an altercation with the Elite backstage, the VPs. A year later, an altercation with Jack Perry, and then he gets fired. I don't know if it was meant for CM Punk to be part of AEW. I don't think his run was meant to be. Knowing the circumstances, knowing what everything that was going on backstage, I don't think Punk really belonged in AEW. I think from a business standpoint, he had a place there. Right? He was the biggest draw for a while. And obviously his popularity has somewhat diminished. I mean, there is no way you're telling me that his AEW run was a success or that he was a bigger draw here than he was in WWE. There is no comparison. He was a bigger draw in the E. He was a much bigger deal in the E. More popular in the E. And it's funny how for the past 7 years prior to his return, everybody chanting CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk, every WWE show, especially in Chicago. But then 2 years after his debut in AEW, like clamoring for this man to return and come back after 7 years, he's now fired. Let that sink in. He's now fired. I bet you the same fans that have been clamoring for CM Punk to come back, you're not going to be clamoring anymore for him to make a return. Because if you think he's going back to WWE, now I'm not saying that he won't go back. There's a chance that he could go back. But there's also a chance that they may not even want him there. There's a chance that they may not even need him there. You know? And I know Triple H, he's a businessman. At the end of the day, he's willing to make amends. I mean, yeah, this is the same company that brought back Ultimate Warrior, Bret Hart, after so much bad blood between the two parties. They brought back a lot of guys that they had some, beef and bad blood with, right? There's a chance Punk will come back for a short period. But there's definitely going to be a trust issue because there has been a lot of problems in AEW. Most of those problems have been revolving around CM Punk. And for a company that's brand new, relatively, that should not even be a case. For a wrestler, one of your biggest draws, a top guy, is causing this much problems for your company, that's a red flag. And do you think any other promotion is going to want to work with Punk? Probably not. I won't be shocked if Triple H decides to bring him back. Triple H and Nick Khan, for the most part. It's really, and from a business standpoint, it would be very good business. But from a locker room standpoint, I don't think it's going to go well. Because we know CM Punk, guys like Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, they're not too fond of the guy. And they're both your top champions. That's a big deal. If your top guys don't really like Punk or don't trust him, that's not good. It'd be different if someone like Akira Tozawa or or like a Ricochet, right, didn't like CM Punk. It really wouldn't be much a big deal to the office because those guys are not highly regarded. If a Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins say they do not like you, they don't trust you, that's a big deal. That's something to look at and to assess very carefully. Because the locker room morale in WWE has been good with Triple H in charge. You don't want to mess that up. Like, the locker room morality is very important in wrestling. If the morale of the locker room is low, that's a red flag. And if someone like CM Punk is going to cause that morale to be low, then it may not be smart to bring him back. He has to be on his best behavior. And I'm sure he's capable of doing that. He's a grown man at the end of the day, And I'm hearing Kevin Nash had said on his podcast that the guy may need mental help. I don't know if he needs mental help or not. I just think he just needs to get his act together. Like I said, I don't know the mindset of CM Punk, but who really knows what goes on in that backstage in AEW? Who knows what goes on in that locker room? From my personal opinion, based on everything that has happened, it seems that the Young Bucks and Omega never really wanted Punk in AEW. And I know it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around that, but all this beef started with Colt Cabana not getting TV time. Colt Cabana, of all people, who, for the record, I do not remember seeing Colt Cabana on TV. I don't remember him even being on the roster. TK was going to let the man go. And the Young Bucks and Omega, Adam Page, who were friends of Colt Cabana too, they all thought Punk had something to do with Colt Cabana getting released. Why would someone like Punk have something to do with Colt Cabana getting released? I mean, it's not like it would have been a big deal because the man wasn't even being used on TV. He wasn't even a big part of any storylines or any feuds. I don't think any of the fans would even care if the man got released in the first place. Punk is an employee. He's not on the level from a power position that the Young Bucks and Omega are in. They have more pull, more power than Punk do. At the end of the day, Punk doesn't get to decide who gets fired, who gets released, who gets hired. No, he don't get to have that power. And if he does have that power, it's because TK gave him that power. Which TK should never give someone like CM Punk that type of power. Because he's deciding who gets to be on a Collision and who don't get to be on Collision. That's absurd. That's absurd. That's not his. That should not be his job. That should not be his decision to make. So TK had to make the decision, a tough one. He had to let the guy go. But ultimately, Punk fired himself. He wanted to be fired. So can we say that Punk really was fired? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm leaning more towards he quit because he said he wanted to quit. Now, everything that has been leaked out with CM Punk and his altercations with other names like Miro, William Regal, I don't even know if that's even true or not, because it's funny how more news about Punk is being leaked after him getting fired. It's all really hearsay. You know what I'm saying? It's just hearsay. Don't always believe what you read on the internet. I don't even know if that's even true or not. We all don't know if that's true. We're just hearing it and reading about it. Who knows if Punk called William Regal a Triple H stooge? I mean, that's weak, to be honest. Like, really, you're gonna call William Regal a Triple H stooge? Like, okay, that's irrelevant at the end of the day. And the whole stuff with Miro, who knows if that's even relevant or even accurate. So, TK had to take charge, and, Punk could have been more of a problem going forward after his suspension, caused more beef, more drama. So, I think the Bucks and Omega, ultimately, they got what they wanted. I think the morale or like the drama in AEW will be less and won't happen much, won't be happening a lot going forward. I think the drama AEW will be much less going forward. And that's a good thing, because no one should be talking about Jack Perry and CM Punk. Everybody should be talking about AEW All In. That event, the amount of people that were in that building, that stadium, it was like their WrestleMania. It was a big deal for a lot of those wrestlers, and it's very offensive and disrespectful to those wrestlers that are not even given that recognition for the show's success. Instead, the talk of the town is CM Punk and Jack Perry having a little backstage altercation. So I can imagine a lot of wrestlers backstage being pissed off. And I would be too. But that's my thoughts on it and my analysis. It's unfortunate. CM Punk could have done a lot more in AEW. He could have had a lot more memorable feuds in AEW. But Punk's not much of a draw as he used to be. He's always going to be a great promo. He's always going to be outspoken. And I think at the end of the day, we do know this about CM Punk, definite, is that he is outspoken. And whether you like it or not, CM Punk will never stop being outspoken. He'll never stop being outspoken. He's always going to be that way, whether you like it or not. He's always going to speak his mind, whether you like it or not. If you're a fan of his or not, that's just who CM Punk is. But TK had to do what he had to do to pick the poison ivy out of the garden, because that poison ivy was CM Punk. So he stepped up, became a leader that day, made a tough decision. And he felt like his life was in danger. According to TK, his life was in danger with CM Punk's anger and temper, right? And I don't blame TK for making this decision. And I take back what I said about Jack Perry. He should have been fired. He was right for being suspended. This is his first offense, his first altercation. So, yeah, his suspension is justified. And before I get off here, I just want to say, CM Punk once said that about Jack Perry, that if you have a problem with Jack Perry, then you are the problem. Very ironic, isn't it? So, Phil Brooks, CM Punk, if you're telling me that if you have a problem, or if anybody has a problem with Jack Perry, that they are the problem? Interesting. So by default, based on your logic there, wouldn't you be the problem then? Does that make you, CM Punk, the problem? I would think so. So with that being said, let me know down in the comment section your thoughts, opinions, whatever. like the video for the algorithm, subscribe for more content. This is another edition of Rational Wrestling Talk, and I'm out.